Scenes of the Aligned Businesswoman podcast. I have a guest today, and you know the drill when it comes to the behind the scenes. You get the unedited, raw version of the recording for the podcast. And so you get to see me mess up and then you get to see the after. So let's dive in. Are you ready to get started? Okay,
Mhm.
cool. All right. Welcome to the Aligned Businesswoman podcast. Vanessa here. I have a special guest with me, Tabatha Crocker of the Present Profitable Mom. She's going to talk to us all about memberships, and which that to me is like so exciting because I do have a membership. You guys know about the Profitable CEO Accelerator. So I get to pick her brain and she gets to share her wisdom, and I get to share her with you. And you know how important you are to me. So I always had to bring some phenomenal speaker. So Tabitha, thank you so much for being here. I'm excited to have you.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
So, okay, before we get into some of the questions here, I want to ask you, present profitable mom. Okay, I want to tell you something and then I want to ask you. So, when I first started my business, I did the whole like gateway entry drug of doing a network marketing business, and that's how I got like my whole like dive into to being an entrepreneur. And one of the things I noticed was that one of the things that they sold us on, and what really resonated with me, is that when we become an entrepreneur and we are a parent, that is so important for us to be a present person, right? Just present in, not just with our motherhood, but with our family, our friends, etc. So, can you tell me a little bit about where you came up with that name, and then just kind of like how you got to be here?
Yeah, and for me, it really came from a non-negotiable. I absolutely wanted to be able to be a present mom and run a profitable business. And it was definitely an evolution of finding that because it was like so much of the kind of societal advice or the bro marketing is like, you've got to work more, you've got to hustle more. And I'm like, I did not leave my full time career to work just as much just at home instead of at an office. And I really wanted to be present and to go do fun things with my kids. I didn't want to be sitting at the office, irritated that they were constantly interrupting me and all of these pieces. And so you mentioned the network marketing. I think a big piece of advice that is common that I disagree with is the like working in the pockets of your day. I feel like that's bad advice personally, just because it's like constantly nagging at you and it's this constant distraction and like, oh, what can I do in this couple minutes? And it really pulls you out of the present moment, even when you're trying to be with your kids. And so a big thing that I teach, it's been a long winding road, but I started out as a blogger. I created digital courses, and then I was a productivity coach for a few years. And that a big piece of what I taught was morning routines and having a morning block for doing your business. And that's what I do. It's currently 6:30 a.m. here in Alaska, and my kiddos, knock on wood, are still sleeping. So that's really when I like to work, when I have that uninterrupted focus time. And then I have things that I can do from my phone that are just those quick pieces, like say we're at the park and like the kids are playing and I'm not with them. And I'm like, maybe we didn't have friends join us that day. And I'm like legit just bored. I'm like, oh, I can do stuff from my phone. And so that was kind of just where it came from, was finding that sweet spot of being able to work the hours that I wanted to, being able to really enjoy and love the work that I do in my business, and then also have that time with my kids. And for me, a big part of that, again, was those morning working blocks. So 5 a.m. to 7 a.m. is my working block. And then if I get something done later in the day, awesome. But I very rarely schedule anything outside of that so that my kids and I have the rest of the day together.
I love that. Yeah, you're speaking my language because that's kind of what we talk about inside the Profitable CEO Accelerator. I always like have a tongue twister with that. I'm like, maybe I need to rename my own program. But in the accelerator, we talk about structuring your day so that you're successful and you are able to have the ability to focus and have optimal performance versus like multitasking and doing all the things. And then also just kind of getting out of your own head. It's like, stop making things difficult. Stop choosing things that are not aligned with where you want to go. So I
Mhm.
love that, how you practice what you preach. When it comes to having a membership, because I'm assuming that you also have a membership,
Mhm.
how do you get people to stay accountable? Like, how do you get them to be motivated? I've always heard this. You can't motivate anyone to do anything, but you can still hold them accountable in a way that motivates them. So can you talk to us about that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it depends. I teach that there are, I guess I should mention here that part of the reason that I shifted to a membership model was because I had tried everything else and nothing was really fitting into those working hours. Like I didn't want to have to work more than 10 hours a week because my daughter's about to start kindergarten, but I've always had littles, at home with me full time. And so then I switched to the membership model and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm finally getting traction, finally getting reoccurring revenue. I can finally work in this 10-hour work week and really, make progress and do things like, group coaching calls. So you've got that scaling your time one to many. And I think that a big piece of a successful and running a thriving membership is that accountability. I think that a lot of humans, we need that. And if you happen to have read Gretchen Rubin's book, The Four Tendencies, she talks about this and she says that in the general population, there are different types of people with the accountability that they need. So the first type of person is called an upholder. And that's the person who just sets a goal and achieves it. Like they live up to their own expectations and that is what's most important to them. So like those people are amazing. I see them and I'm just like, they're like a machine, they're just like, I'm doing this and they do it. And then the next group is the obligers, which is what I am. And that is 40% of the population. So most of us, compared to the other groups, that most of us are obligers, which means we hold ourselves to outer expectations before inner expectations. So if I tell myself I'm going to do something by Friday, like, may or may not happen. But if I tell you I'm doing something by Friday, like it's as good as done, it will be done. And so the other two, just for information, is the questioner, which is someone who really strongly needs to know why something is important. And they won't just do it because someone else said to do it. They'll be like, but why though? This is my husband for sure. And so that's a smaller part of the population, but you just have to communicate with them in a different way so that they know why it's important and then they can hold themselves accountable. And then the last one is a rebel, which they struggle with even goals they set for themselves or other people's goals for them. And the way that they work best is when they want to achieve a goal. Like they have to really make it appealing and genuinely want to do it because that's the only way that accountability works for them. And so really like to layer in these pieces so that you can make sure that you are helping those upholders. They just need clarity around the goal. So helping them get clarity around the goal and then they're like good to go. The obligers, make sure you have either like a weekly check-in or a post in your community, some tangible way, or maybe you hold them accountable from call to call, like, hey, what did you do last week? In the higher ticket membership, because I teach that there's low, mid, and high, and a high ticket membership would be like a mastermind. And maybe that's a Voxer on Monday and Friday. Like, okay, what are you going to do? What did you get done? And that works really well for obligers. And then the questioners, you just have to be crystal clear in why something is important. And then in the rebels, you just kind of have to make sure that it's fun, like make it something that they want to do, just how you just like with our kids, like reframe so that it's something that they are telling themselves they want to do.
That's awesome. Yeah, I need to check that out. And that reminds me, I literally was just thinking about this morning. I have this freebie that I'm offering. It is a workbook full of journal prompts that have helped me grow my business profits by 3,000%. And so we have a ton of women saying, I want the book, I want the workbook, I want the workbook. So my team and I, we're looking at how many people are requesting the workbook, how many people are actually downloading the workbook, and then how many people are taking action from that. And it amazes me how, someone says they want something and yet it's just like they don't follow through. And then they're trying to like figure out, well, why don't I have the things that I want to? And it's because of those things. It's like, you have to follow through on if you want to be able to reach your goal. So I love that you say all those things, and it's like so true. Like I see a lot. I can identify, I can already like figure out, oh, this person is kind of like this and this person is like that. So I love that. Can you describe the benefits of networking and community building within your membership model?
Yeah, I think that this is one of these like most underrated things. Like they say, it's not what you know, it's who you know very often. And I think that people just don't realize that even if you are introverted, like people need people. And so having this benefit of creating a cultivating really a community in your membership where people help each other, they support each other, they encourage each other, they love connecting each other. And it's like that 6 degrees of separation. Like within 6 people, we all know each other. Like it really is a small world. And it's one of my favorite things to do because even as just the person who is running the community, I always am thinking about the people in my community. And just this morning, someone reached out to me and she's like, "Well, I would love your connection to your web design gal." And so it's like, even though I don't teach web design, I don't do anything in that area, but it's so fun that I'm like, yes, I have this amazing person. I love working with her. She's doing some stuff for me right now. It's just so easy and fun to connect people. And then they get the benefit of also having those similar core values because working with moms who are entrepreneurs and who we all want that benefit of being a present mom and running a profitable business and all being moms, like we get each other. You know, if there's your kiddo is sick and you have to reschedule, like no big deal. We totally understand that versus someone who maybe doesn't have kids. They're like, why do you need to reschedule? Don't you just set them on the couch and they watch TV? And you're like, oh yeah, that's when they're the most needy of all, you know, when they're not feeling well. And so we just get each other, and that really cultivating those values in your community really helps with those connections because you have that group of like-minded people and people who know, you know, I always say like awesome people know awesome people. And so you get the benefits of that synergy where the I always mess up this expression, but like the sum of the parts is, or the value of the whole is greater than the sum of its parts because you've got the knowledge and wisdom, not only for you and your expertise, but everyone in your community. And then you have access to all of their connections and resources. And it's just so incredibly powerful.
It really is. Like, and then I've noticed that the more I network, then this person introduces me to this person that has something that I need, and this really impacted my life or helped me. You know, it just became a resource that I didn't know it was available. So that is absolutely true. One thing that someone had mentioned to me right when I decided to make my workshop into a membership. It's my Profitable CEO Accelerator started as the CEO Day. I was teaching women how to map out a balanced work week of like how to do the strategic planning of a CEO day, how to have a doer day where you're taking action, and then how to have a goddess day where you're like, you put your phone up, you just simply relax, allow your nervous system to calm down to reduce the stress from your brain or on the brain so that you can have more clarity, right? So that you like, now these are the things I never even knew that were right underneath my nose. And so when I turned that into a membership, someone said, well, how is this going to be a membership? Like, how are you going to come up with content every single time? I'm like, it's not about the content though. It's about you taking action. It's the accountability. It's about, having that community of people, reaching out or, just growing together versus growing alone. So when it comes to memberships and someone thinks of a membership a certain way, can you tell us like, what are the different types of memberships out there? Like, does it have to be something where you're teaching something every single month?
Well, I first of all love that you're bringing this up because I think that is the number one myth about memberships is that it's just this content monster that there's just no way you can keep up with it, especially if it's low ticket. You're going to be constantly busy with content and you're not making any money because it's low ticket. And that was actually one of the reasons I did not try a membership for a very long time. I tried pretty much literally everything else. And then as a last resort was like, I mean, I guess if I can get this membership thing to go, then we're good. But if not, maybe the online space isn't for me because I've tried everything. But I ended up discovering that it really isn't exactly like you said. It isn't about the content. It is about taking action, which requires that accountability, which we just discussed. So I believe there are 3 pillars of a thriving membership. And the first piece is content. There should be some content. You have to teach people something, but it does not have to be a ton. It's really less is more. And then the key here is making sure it's actionable content. And then the second piece is really having the coaching, because that's a big thing too. Is like, if you take an online course, even you get all this information, you're like, oh, well, this doesn't apply to me, or, my situation's a little bit different, or what about this? And you kind of have these like unanswered questions. And so there really needs to be that coaching / accountability component where someone knows you're here, you're consuming the content, the tasks, are you doing the things? And if you have any challenges, how can I help you through those? And then the last piece is the community, which we touched on also, is just having this just incredible resources, connections, support, encouragement, whatever it is that you're needing, you can find that in the community. And so, the content is just a small piece. The content is almost like the North Star. Like, it sets like, this is what we're working on. This is the topic, here's maybe the framework, but then really the magic is in the actionable steps, and then the accountability to take action, and then the coaching if you need some additional, information or things to try, and then the community really to help you continue with that momentum.
Mm-hmm. I love that. So I have okay, well, I'm going to tell you my plans for my memberships real quick. So I have my current membership, which I am relaunching in August, and I'm still kind of doing like a beta. By next year, it's going to be $1,000 a month because there's a lot of hands on there. But the way I've structured it, it comes so easy for my schedule, and it helps me show up more powerfully, or just, be able to give more because I'm not exhausted. It's strategically placed. And then the other one is my Human Design and Gene Keys membership, where you learn how to read your own chart. That right now is still in beta. I'm still, figuring out the calls and all of that. And that is going to be like relaunching, like officially opening up next year. One thing that I want to do at the end of this year is a very, very small, and I am already building out the assets for it, a very low ticket offer or membership, sorry, with audios, like meditation, hypnosis, and then journal prompts, because I have so much already that I can give to people. And so right now it's $9, or I'm thinking $9, $47, and $297, and they're all going to go up, right? Well, at least the $47 per month, the Human Design one, and then the other one's going to go up. And so when you tell me like low ticket and, all of that, the different degrees of it, there is one, I'm kind of going all over the place, but I'm kind of bringing it back just full circle a little bit. There is this one low ticket membership that I'm in. And it's like probably the best I've ever been in. It's freaking amazing. It is Liz Wilcox, email marketing. You know what I mean? You know what
yes, yes. I'm just chuckling because I feel like her name has come up on like every single podcast, because she's been a guest on my podcast. And yeah, her membership is phenomenal. Agreed.
I know. And so I'm like, how do you do that? Like, how can you be able to do something so low ticket, but there's like 3,000 people in there? I feel like there's like it's like kind of what comes first, the chicken or the egg. But she can do it at that capacity with having $3,000 or 3,000 people in there at $9 per month versus not. So help us with strategically planning and placing our memberships and like just kind of like stacking them. Like, what would you do to a new person, or say to a new person?
I think that is one of the, a big misconception also, is because we do see people like Liz, who's doing an amazing job, killing it. I mean, $9 a month, tremendous amount of resources available at your fingertips. I mean, it's easy just to pay for it. Just, you have it in your back pocket. I mean, it's less than most of your other subscriptions for a lot of things. And that is a great model for her. And like you said, it absolutely works because she has so many members in her membership. But that doesn't have to be what yours looks like. Your membership can be as unique as you are. It really depends on your strengths and what you want for your lifestyle, and then really marrying that also with your niche. Because something like, for her example, so she does email templates and swipe copy. So that's very plug and play. And that doesn't require maybe the level of coaching, which she does have some lives and some coaching in there. But, depending on your niche, maybe that doesn't make a lot of sense. Maybe you need more, it's just not as plug and play. It needs more like custom kind of coaching, or yeah, there's just different formats work for different people. And I think that as long as you have those three pillars covered, so as long as you have some content, you have some coaching, and you have that element of community, that is really where the power is. And there are so many different formats that you can do for, like, she is, I guess I would say, content heavy, because she has so much content available at your disposal. But you could easily do a low ticket membership. Like, my low ticket membership is my Mom CEO Club, and it's really around productivity strategies. And so I teach a productivity strategy every month. And then there's a strategy lab every month, which is really general business strategy. And then people can take action from there. And so that's the only content. I don't have, pages and pages and pages of done for you swipe copy for your emails, but that's still going to be of super value. And then I have also live components, like a live coaching every month, and then also a live planning party every month, which is really going to help people, again, with that accountability piece. Like, okay, here's the content, here's what you're working on, how are you going to fit everything together, and what are your goals? I mean, a lot of times just the accountability to sit down and take a look at, like, what are your goals? And for example, that is, my membership is $47 a month. And so I think it just really depends on your niche and how you want to craft things and what makes most sense for you and your personality. And like in Liz's case, like, she had done so much copywriting. So a lot of what she has, she literally already has it. She's not writing 20 emails a month, brand new ones. She already has a lot of this stuff. So that's another piece. You can look at what you already have. And even like in your case, you're like, okay, I have this content. This is already what I'm using for my VIP days. How can I stretch this? And maybe instead of sitting down for a whole day and someone having to commit that block of time, they can slowly work on those pieces over time and have that accountability to take action.
Yeah, I love that. So when it comes to, starting a membership, what do you suggest someone does? It's not like, okay, yes, let's audit our content, but like, how do you get them to feel like, to know what's the best idea for them that is going to have some longevity versus like, oh wait, no, this didn't work out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think a membership, you can start your business with a membership, but I think you do have to have the pieces in place for like a framework. Like, you have to have either gotten yourself results or someone else results in your niche. You can't really just start a membership and then just like throw random stuff out there and see like if it hits or not. Like, that's not going to work, because you need to have a proven success formula, because even though it's a membership and you're dripping content monthly, you're still walking people through the transformation of getting them from where they are now to where they want to be in the future. And you're really going to lose people along the way if you're not giving them what it is that they need to take action and actually make progress. So I think that is a key point, that it's not just throwing random stuff in there. It's really, how to get them from where they are to where they want to go. And then you slowly, more slowly with a membership, and really build in that consistency is the key piece. I think a lot of things, like you think about anything around health or relationships or wealth, it's never like done, check. I mean, I guess maybe if you've achieved your financial goals, but even then you really have to, especially as an entrepreneur, like, things are constantly changing. Like, even if you have a lot of money, to hold on to it is an effort. So these things require consistent attention, and what you focus on expands. And so you can't just neglect them. They are always needing you to take action and be consistent and move forward.
For sure. And do you think that the price point of a membership will influence someone's desire or motivation or any of the accountability part on their own self accountability?
Yes, yes, for sure. There's definitely a lot of research out there that, they say like if people don't pay, they don't pay attention. It's just we don't value if we don't have that skin in the game. And
Mhm.
certainly like a low ticket membership is a great way to get people to start taking action, begin to engage, get familiar with you and ask questions. It's also a really great way for you to see what people's questions are and then you can create content around that. But definitely things like a mastermind are going to be that higher ticket, that high price point that accountability is going to be next level. Like someone is a lot more committed because they've committed with more dollars that they are going to, do the work that you are telling them they need to do in order to achieve the result that they wanted when they signed up with you.
Yes, sure. I agree. Like I agree that you had to have some skin in the game, and so, sometimes as a I'm gonna admit, like I've paid a couple thousands of dollars for some things, and I still was like, oh, didn't show up to some of the things, And so I'm like, but not everyone's like me, Sometimes it's like $97 is enough skin in the game for them. So
Mhm.
it's something for all of us to consider when we're doing memberships. And so I'm gonna ask you a couple more questions, and then we'll wrap up. How do you facilitate member engagement and collaboration within your membership community? I know you said about networking, but like, how do you facilitate all of that?
Yeah, I think a lot of it is also just being an example, and if you have a membership, it doesn't mean you have to be in there all day, every day, but you are commenting on other people's posts and really just cultivating that in other people as well. Like, it's some place that you go to give or you go to get depending on what you need, but it's not some place where you only go to get like, oh, okay, so people just come to this community when they need something or want something from other people. Like, you don't want to do that. You want to make sure that people are engaging, getting to know each other. Like, a small thing that we do is encourage doing introduction posts, so that people can be like, oh, you're from there, my parents live there or whatever. Just give people these points of connection that are outside of whatever the niche is. If it's around like your business, it's not just your business and what you do. Like, who are you? You have kids. How old are they? What part of the country do you live in? And really connect in more ways. Even with like the introduction kind of chit chat stuff, but then in even deeper, like really making sure that your values are known and that is going to help you to attract the right members who have those values in common. And then everyone can really join around that. That makes it just everyone's going to be a lot more understanding of each other and have that kind of common background that knits your community together faster than anything else.
I love that. Yeah, I mean, we kind of had to find some kind of like connection points, some commonalities, and all that. So, before we move on, where you can share with us, where you can, where people can hang out with you and get to know you, and what you brought us a little gift. Tell me, what are you reading right now, or listening to on Audible?
Yes, I am listening on Audible to Rocket Fuel. I don't remember who it is by, but it's really fascinating. It's basically about the visionary versus the integrator, which and I'm sure you too, entrepreneurs, we tend to be very visionary. We start these businesses, we have these big ideas, these big dreams, but then we kind of struggle sometimes in the day to day with staying on track. You're like, no, but I had a new fun idea. I want to do that today. And so it talks a little bit about finding maybe an integrator. And I actually just hired someone to help me with this a little bit. And she's very into the metrics. Like, how can we measure this? This is our focus this week. And it really helps keep me on track. And so I'm reading this book right now, which is just really fascinating to kind of see how I can bring in that other piece personally and not get so distracted by all these fun, new, shiny ideas.
Awesome. I'm glad that you brought the metrics part up, because that's what we do in the accelerator. I'm like, these people probably think I'm annoying and boring, but it's so important that
Yes.
most entrepreneurs, that we just like dive in and we're like, oh, I just have a dream and I can do this. And they're like, wait a minute. I'm like, are you looking for your energy, business, like money leaks? No. Then how do you know you're making money? How
Mhm.
do you know this is working? So that's awesome. I need to check that book out.
Mhm.
Okay, so you like to hang out on Instagram. Tell us your
Mhm.
Instagram handle, and then tell us about the free gift that you brought us, the roadmap.
Yes. So I am at Present Profitable Mom on Instagram, and I am newly trying TikTok. So I don't know if that'll still be going on by the time this airs, but it's a new thing. totally fun. And then I have the membership success roadmap for you guys today. And it's really my framework of how to design, build, and scale your thriving membership. I have some more details in there around low, mid, and high ticket pricing and what those pricing models look like and what those may or may not include, depending on kind of your niche and your preferences. And then I also give my 10 steps, like literally exactly what I teach in my Membership Success Accelerator program. And so you can see exactly what you would have in store should you decide that a membership is the right fit for you, and gives you some direction to get started.
Awesome. I'll definitely check that out. So thank you so much for being here. It was great chatting with you. And we'll catch you next time on the next episode of the Aligned Businesswoman. Bye.